You know, the Gemara, Rashi just said, I'm just doing this Rashi over here. And Rashi says that, you know, why is Pashas Sotah next to Pashas? No, I said, well, what's going on over here? What's this says? Rashi says, the code, why is Sotah B'Kakulo? Yazas V'Nayayin. So he asked me a very, very interesting question, which at the time, like, shocked me. Says, wait a second. This guy saw what happened if you are a Sotah, right? He saw what happened. So why should he be the guy? He sees the punishment for what happens, what you did. He has to be the guy to be Yazas V'Nayayin. It's the guy who doesn't know what the punishment is. He saw Kalkula. He saw what you went through. He should not have to worry about the fact that he has to be now careful, because if you drink wine, you can lead yourself up to that situation. On the contrary, he saw the punishment. If you see the thing in front of your face, you see this woman being blown up, whatever you want to call it, is at that point in time, you should be saying to yourself, my goodness, that's one thing I want to keep away from. Without having to introduce yourself, I now have to introduce something which is mutter to me, wine. He asked me as a question. I thought the question was an intriguing question. I had no answer. So here's a few truths into that question. I'm going to see what we're going to do. One teretz I'll give you is the literature teretz, and then I'm going to give the chassidische teretz, and then you can see the difference. One teretz is, I would say literature teretz is that you should know it makes a roshim on you. You know, when you see something, you know, unfortunately, they thought in the school system, if you teach them about the stuff, it's going to make it, now guys know how bad it can be. On the contrary, once you see something, you get it, you don't realize it, it makes a rush on you. And on the contrary, you have to realize, even though you see something, and you see the punishment, but you saw, it's like the idea of Amalek. Amalek saw that. They wanted to do, and they wanted to create the massive of fighting with Klal Yisrael, so they should say, yeah, you got punished. Amalek got punished. But it had a Roshim. That's all they needed. That's all they needed. That's how bad they are. They only did it just to create the Roshim that you can fight with Jews, even though you lost. But you saw, you tried it, you've ruined, you brought it into the world. You made a reality out of a situation. Once you make a reality of a situation, however bad the punishment is, but then you're able to magder it, and then you already now see, no. So you got punished. You know, but then you already brought that very into the world. That's a literature teretz, but it's a very, very teeth teretz. The chassidische teretz is, like the same from the Baal Shem Tov, this is side, and that is, if you see something...
He said because it desensitizes.
Yeah, desensitized. That's not the good.
As much as you see it bad, you see it.
You saw it. You see it
already.
You saw. That's Amalek. Is that the kuda? Amalek is.
There a story that someone, I forgot who which level was. The first time he saw someone being in the Kal Shabbos, he fainted. The second time he didn't faint, and
you get used to everything.
That's
get used to it. No matter what.
Yeah, no matter what, you get used to everything.
It opens up that idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a
legit
text. But that's easy.
Even if you
That's a tifa. Most probably it's a tifa emistic text. You have to see it.
Yeah.
Kol Haroya, you have to see it. Then the other one, they say, is chassidische teretz, and that is, the teretz is a very simple teretz. Listen to the messages. If Hashem showed you, if you saw it, Hashem's giving you an opportunity to realize this is what your weak point is. Why is Hashem putting you into this matzav? Hashem says you saw it, it's a message for you. Hashem is giving you messages wherever you're walking down the street. If you saw something wrong, it means it's your problem. You have to find that you've got a weakness in that area. And Hashem's why are your eyes focusing on that point? Why are you seeing that thing? It means you got to work on it. That's your area of Hashem's giving you the area that you have to work on. So Hashem's saying to you, listen, let's see. You got a problem? There's something over here that you need to work on. You need to work on this area. This is your area of your Mahalach HaChaim touched this thing. You saw something, and then it's everything. Everything you see is for a purpose. And if you see it, it means Hashem's telling you, because of that, that's what you need to work on. Side for good and side for not good. You know, opportunity is there. A person always has opportunities, side for to work on himself and side to, change lives of other people. But if it was given to you, it's for you. That's what the point is. So if you see it, it's the opportunity for you to be able to grow.
You are exactly where you're supposed to be. Your message is.
That's right. For the rest, that's right. That's right. That's right. Imam said that in the Kudah. Hashem puts you where you're walking, where you are is for you, Dafka. Your path of life goes down. The people you meet. If you have to meet a guy like me, so there's part of your life, part of your life's experience. Some people suffer because of it. Okay. But listen, it's all about how.
Song to sing.
Hey, no, don't worry, okay. Don't worry. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get to a beautiful pshat of the Hachinuch in the Parsha of Sotah. You know, whenever you think about Sotah, it's like something. It's got no shaykhs to me. The Chinuch's way of looking at Sotah. How do you look at Sotah and make it a positive twist that's negate to every marriage?
Shalom Bay.
Oh, you wait. He holds the. You must remember last year's share. Yeah.
I remember.
Okay, because this is an unbelievable aside.
He's very into Shalom Bayis.
No, you watch this. The Chinuch holds. The Chinuch holds. You wait to see the Chinuch. The Chinuch is going to go down a road that's going to be an amazing way of looking at it. We know that it's. Chazal used the expression to put Shalom into the house, right? So, but you think it's only about the individual Jew, about that guy who went through the problem. It's going to bring Shalom into his house by the Pasha of Sotah, because then if she drinks and nothing happens, there's going to be Shalom. He's got a way how he can sort of test something which is not a testable issue. He's got like a litmus test, right? You can do a litmus test. They do these tests that you drink the water. And this is the question.
Are they really gonna have Shalom right away? I mean, weren't you give to him and you to her that?
Yeah. It doesn't sound very blunt. So let's take the Chinuch's way of looking at it, and then you'll understand it all. And it's so easy and it's so simple. And we're gonna sing a song. We're gonna get there. Look what he says. And this is Sheish Mitzvah Zu Nigla L'chol Roye Hashemesh. Any guy who just can see the sun will be able to appreciate this mitzvah, which is unbelievable. Roye Hashem is very, very strong lashon. Shu Shvach Godel. It's an amazing praise of our nation. It's an amazing praise that we have this thing, which is only by Jews. Hashem created a litmus test. We're going to call it this litmus test, only applicable for Jewish people. Jewish people are the only ones can have this litmus test. It's not by Goyim. Goyim, if a woman was mazana when she was under her husband, it would not work. This whole system would not work. This only works for Jews. Shushbach Godel Be'uma Lias Lehem Tachbula, to have this test. Lahitzi Mitech Livavenu Hachashad. Listen to this. It's a different, whole new way of thinking. Since we have this litmus test in the world, in the days of old, there used to be to have a test where a woman, and she knows about it, and I know about it. Both me and her both know about the situation, right? So if we both know about it, so I'm going to feel much more comfortable with my wife. Listen to this. Now, before anything, just as a guy feeling, she knows that there's a test over here. She won't get herself into a situation because she knows there's a vadai test over here. It's not like, if I know that if I can always go to the authorities and I can just like lock her up, but this is even better. I can find out Vadai if she did something wrong. He says, look at this way. He says, we have this sort of a litmus test. Lahitzi mitech levavenu, hachashad b'nesheseinu, all our wives, ladas emes, to know the truth. I have an unusual thing. Only in Judaism, he says, no other nation and no other tribe and there's nothing else in the world, no other nation has this unusual test about husband and wife relationship, which is part of the religion, which you do in the Beis HaMikdash, and it's part of the religion where you can test your wife's faithfulness or not. And it's something which is accepted that it was done and it did happen. It's not it didn't happen. So it happened. There were examples. Means that because they saw it. I mean, you should know that it really happened. So there were many cases of Sotah, and it
only
worked.
Works if you behave.
Ah.
It only works if you.
It works on certain rules.
Not Jehuman.
But and it happens to the man also. The man also gets punished.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not only that,
Okay.
it's a very fascinating thing what happens. And not only that, the Gemara says that there was once the story of two sisters.
Yeah,
Right. So you see how it was known. The value of that test was so powerful that everybody was scared of this test. So he says this was a test which created an ummah, which every man became very, very. You didn't need to worry about it. You had trusted your wife. You had a much easier life. You had a wife that you never felt because she knew I could always do this. Look what he says over here. Va'aleim, and look what he says over here. U'mashiyef shelachol goy mamlechol liyas b'neim. Va'aleim nema ochlo u'machto pia. Va'omra le'paltiyav. Oh, very good. And that she ate. And she macht up here and she filled her mouth, and she said, I did nothing, which basically means that she did the Levera. Kimi megala al b'neim b'neseim kis taznina tazinina that they were who's going to be megala about their children when they're mezana on kalaseim kinafana. Nobody knows v'imonu by us nekadish b'chol davar shebekdusha. We are blessed with a murdi gazach, and this is v'hidilonu minat toyim. And that's what we're going to say. And it's kadshenu in the form of that we have a whole different way of understanding who we are. We're an ummah kadosha. We're an ummah that has within it laws. Can you imagine? You can't even explain this to a guy. You cannot explain this to a guy, and it's just after Matan Torah in a way. You know. Go back now to your tent. You are now have to know that when you go back to your tent, you can and have children, they're yours. Don't worry about them. Don't think about it because now you got a passion, the Torah of Sotah, because you don't need to worry about that child. That child is yours. Like Roibel Zachabal is the Metzias. Why? So he says like this: Kimi megala v'imonu nekadish b'chol davar shebekdusha v'nasal lanu akel. Hashem gave us this amazing hidden secret, which is it's a miracle. It's actually an open miracle to tell us something which nobody else, no other nation has this miracle. And this is where he explains, Tarbe bein ish le'ishtoi ava v'sholem. There's going to be ava and shalom. There's going to be a new level of love, a new level of trust, a new level of peace in the house. V'shalom b'zareinu yeh kodesh, and we'll know our children are kodesh. We will have a certain level of feeling comfortable, the comfortableness in the house. There's no tension. Tension on that issue will be gone. There will be no tension about that issue. There'll be many other tension issues. But this is a tension issue which could be very well important. Listen what he says. So it's a shalom maker in shalom in the house. It's going to reduce one level of a tension that many married couples, unfortunately, I mean not many, some married couples have to deal with, right? So that they won't have that tension in the house of who are my children and that guy being too friendly is a whole different passion. I know that my wife will be careful. There's a concept over here of shalom.
Who's the troublemaker? The lady or the man doing it?
It could be either. You never know which one. But each one gets punished.
It takes out the fear from the house.
The house.
fact that there's such a consequence.
All right.
You don't have to, there's no jealousy anymore. There's none of that.
You won't stop.
Huh?
Ladies side, the men's side also.
Both sides.
You can't
The
go.
men, I don't know.
But
That's
no.
easy.
But the men, but they get punished.
So the man
No, no, a man with a married woman.
Right.
No, because if a man messes around,
With a married
then
woman.
he loses this. If a man doesn't behave properly, it says even if he does it small, it doesn't have to do with a married woman. Like the Gemara says, the Gemara says, he doesn't do anything improper. If he does things improper, then it doesn't work.
It won't work if his wife did something.
If he did something, it doesn't work. If he
Even if his wife did something.
So he's messing up. He's messing his life up.
This great zuchos of sight.
This rabbi ben Ishlein, Ava v'Sholem and v'Sholem Sholem and v'Zareinu Yeh Kodesh. Uma erech oid b'prati anyonim elu. V'Hakel nigla belev kol mevin. And this is something which is easy to understand and it's near the Kashamash, it's mamish, it's very clear for anybody who's got his eyes open, the beauty of what makes us a special nation. What is the definition of Kedusha? Kodesh means separate, but we became Am Kodesh. Remember when we discussed this before, that we became Am Kodesh, and on Shavuos we discussed why the definition of Am Kodesh is defined by what?
This stuff.
Chazal tell us, Am Kodesh at Hashem Lekecha, L'Sivasha Gedi B'Chalev Imay. By milchiks and fleishiks. Interesting, no? So what's milchiks and fleishiks got to do with Am Kodesh at Hashem Lekecha? Says the Ramban. And we didn't speak it out. I thought we spoke it out. The Ramban says a beautiful Ramban. So you should have known. You should have known it before Shavuos. You would have loved it. He would explain the reason why we're eating milchiks and fleishiks on Shavuos, because we can define our Judaism, says the Ramban, by the fact that we have. It's not that unhealthy. He says Ta'am Hadova. Not that normally the reason why everything's also is because of te'eva, because it's really unhealthy. It's really unhealthy for a person to eat all these things. We're going to see beautiful Ramban, beautiful chinuchs about the reason why all animals are asa is basically you get the midas of these animals are terrors. In other words, you're creating in yourself in a matzav that all these things that you're doing, you're getting the blood. The reason why blood is because that's the chiyas of the animal, and the chiyas of the animal is you don't want to have the animalistic personality. And that's why blood is also, and the reason why, because kedamu nefesh. So he says, huh?
Which music you get from that?
I don't ask you, but he might become a Republican. Okay, whatever that means. Democrat. Huh? No, all these animals are very the most businesses they're selfish and they're into themselves and they've got nothing else except for their own personal types that they try to do. They can't control. They're instinctive. They're totally and the self-preservation personality. There's no yena. There's no yena in the system. It's all about me. Even if I live in packs, but it's only about me. It's only about to protect myself, not to protect him. I'm not looking about. There's no concept of yena. In the world of animals don't have that concept. They don't say, okay, you can take the big piece of corn and I'll take the little piece. There's none of that. There's no concept of control. That's the basic side of it, animalistic. So, but the difference is what animals are kosher, what animals are not kosher. He says the reason why we have fleishiks and milchiks, the issa, if you notice, the Torah doesn't say l'sivashel basa v'chalav. Why does it say l'sivashel gedi? Bechalev imay. Gedi is a baby goat. Chalev imay is the milk from the mother. What's the point? He says the milk is a nutrition factor, right? That's how the baby grows. It's achzorius, Jewish achzorius, kedusha dika achzorius for a Jew, like a mother and a daughter. He says, like mother and a son. The concept to take the thing that nourishes the child and put it together in one dish. And with the child itself. It's a Yiddish achzaris. Am Kodesh, you became a holy nation. You have a different level of feelings towards issues. You're moved on like night and day. You have a total different concept. Ben Oil Choshech, Ben Yisrael Amim. It's a different world. And that Kedusha of Kedusha is so powerful that they don't even understand what you're talking about. So that's called achzarius. It's called cruelty. To take something which is like a mother and a child that can understand, but boss of a cholov. So the Torah tells it to me, there's savashel gedi. Don't take a little baby goat. Gedi is a baby goat. In chalev imay, in the mother's milk, and just cook it together. It's you can't. Unless you're a Jew, you won't even understand what I'm talking about. But I'm Kodesh, Hashem Lekecha. Tam Adava. The reason why it's Asa is because, so that's why we take on Shavuos. We became, Mamlechas Kohanim, V'gai Kodesh. That's the time when we became. That was Matan Torah. So after Matan Torah, we were able to go to Bas V'chala because that is that was the first thing that defines us different to a goy. That was the Am Kodesh thing. So it's appropriate to choose the Shtei Alechem in the format of Basa v'Chalav. Again, I saw this here actually another time, which I never heard before. I'd love to open it up to anybody if they agree with that. It's in Tam Minhagim. You ever saw this Tam of Basa v'Chalav? I just want to go off topic, nine drop. He says the reason is from Chassid Rebbe, but he said a beautiful pshat. He says the Gemara in Erechin, I think it's Erechin, discusses that Chalav should be also als Eva Menachai. Right? The Gemara has a shaila where the Chalav is also als Eva Menachai. Tmura. No, not Tmura. Yeah, I think he said Erechin. I don't know why he put Tmura. Go ahead.
Talks about honey.
The honey.
Oh,
okay, very good. Okay, that's okay, very good. That's what it's saying Gemara.
So it's one phrase Eretz Yisrael.
That's right. As of Chalav Advash. So we learn out from over there. So he says, very shkach. So remember, I wasn't wearing my glasses. I mean, you're right. I couldn't see it properly, and I couldn't read the words exactly. But he says a beautiful pshat. So let me just get to the point. So he says, so we need a pasuk to tell me that's not Eva Menachai. Without the pasuk, it would have been Eva Menachai. So he says, so that means it was also on the Bnei Noach. You hear this? So he says, the milk was also on Bnei Noach. We needed a pasuk to tell me it was mutter. Otherwise, it was Eva Menachai. So therefore, he brings a raya. That's what happened. The reason why we went to eat, the thing is because now we got a pasuk. Now we got the Torah, and the Torah told us the Eva Menachai. This is not Eva Menachai because the Torah is medama into Eretz Yisrael. I have a kasha. So how did Avram feed the malachim?
Oh, he didn't know.
Yeah, he didn't know. Well, he can't feed the guy. You know, one thing if he thought they were going,
So
he fed the bas v'chalav. Huh? No, but he shechted the milk and then he gave the milk. But then it's fleshik milk. Then that's not chalav. Then that's fleshik milk. Then you're going on to kachal, all the subject of kachal. The milk is only from a live animal.
We're both wrong. It's b'chayres.
B'chayres. That's a b'chayres. That's what I think. Yeah, that's what I think. Okay, b'chayres where? B'chayres tafos. Okay. So anyway, so he said, Erechid. Okay, that's all. Okay. So
it's in the same book.
It's in the same book. Okay. I didn't look it up. I just saw it. So what's the message? The message that I want to bring out just for today is that the Rebbe Shalom, a lot of mitzvahs that we're going to be having, a lot of mitzvahs that you've got to get into your head is to make you into a better person. But not only that, now this is a mitzvah to make your happiness that you should live. And now we've got a new song that we're going to sing, which is going to be all about the Indian of having a happy marriage. And the idea is that the Rebbe created the matzav of a person to have a level of marriage, of a happy marriage. Hashem made a special nace to make a happy marriage. You understand what Hashem did for our happiness in our marriage? Hashem made a mitzvah in the Torah, and there's so many parts of this mitzvah, but the good I want to bring out is Hashem wants, and we say that the Hashem was, so what does Hashem do for our happiness? You see, Hashem wants us to have a happy marriage. We say in Gan Eden, the Hashem was Mekaleach, Mekaleach Chava, right? He made the first chesed. We learn that from over there, the chesed. Yeah, I know what it is.
What did he do?
Hashem
was braiding the hairs.
He braided the hairs.
He braided the hairs.
He braided the hairs to make
by
Yiven. That's very good. And
braided Chava's hair and brought her to Adam so she should look beautiful and you should.
I don't like her. And braided hair.
Really?
Yeah. First girl married.
That's when.
And not that. The Chofetz Chaim writes. The Chofetz Chaim writes in Avos Chesed in his Akdama that he brings down all the places in the Torah, and he says the first one he starts off with the Torah starts with Chesed and it ends with Chesed, and the first one it starts with is the fact that he built for Chava, he wanted the marriage, and as we say in the Lashon that we say by the Shem Brachos. What do we say? Again, that's we're talking about. We're talking about the first marriage.
And it lasted also, no?
Kerev Sameach
Samach
Kazama.
Reim or
Reuben, Kizmecha Yitzchok. Like the Bershom was Mesameach
I'm
them.
gonna kid him.
The Gan Eden again. Now you know a new pshat. Now you never knew what you were singing over there. So you got another song over here to work on. But the idea is that the Bershom is involved in our lives.
No.
There was nobody else. There was nobody else around. It was like in the bedroom. There was nobody else. Yeah, but Nachash wasn't at that point, a person. Right? So there's no, my says there's no Issa on the Nachash. Okay. But everything else, but that's the answer. The answer is there was nobody else there. There was nobody else there. There's no Issa. The only Issa is on a third party. Right? So, but the point about it is that a person has to know that the issue that we're living through, that the Rebbeinu Shalom cares about your marriage. And a person has to realize that he cares about everything about you, but you never think that there's mitzvahs in the Torah to make your marriage better. This is what is every marriage. This is to make every marriage have much more shalom, much more a comfortableness with your wife. It's a very important thing that we realize that it's not so much marriage. It's the idea that how much Hashem does for us things for our betterment and to make our lives more enjoyable. Whether it's marriage and whether it's any mitzvah that we do. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I just wanted to bring out that point. That's what my focus is. But every mitzvah, this is good, again, going with the Chinuch's way of looking at things. So there you got mitzvah of Sotah, which doesn't sound like the mitzvah that you're going to sing a song about, but you're going to sing about the fact that the way how the Rebbeinu Shalom Yichas to Klal Yisrael is the ahava that he has for us is to give us mitzvahs, and Hashem Chavos Leman Tzidka. Hashem wants to do what he wants to do is his tzidkas, and that is his chesed. Therefore, lefichach hebelem Torah mitzvahs. Therefore, he gave us more mitzvahs because every mitzvah is a positive. This is the Chinuch's side. And we're going to get through. Let's see another one, but the Chinuch's side that every mitzvah is for your betterment, for your life to be more enjoyable, to have a great Olam Hazeh, not to have the great Olam Haba that people think that if you do mitzvahs, it's Olam Haba, it's Olam Hazeh. And you want to have the perfect Olam Hazeh, you've got to read. I was on Shabbos reading a tshuva from Ramosha. You would never believe it. Do you have the not the Eckstein, the tshuvas? He's got like the drush. There's 2 volumes. There's 2 volumes set.
What's the drush?
This was the drush.
What is the drush?
Unbelievable. This was Ramosha at the age of 30 years old, maybe even younger.
He was in Russia.
He was in Russia, in Luban, when they introduced a Sefer Torah into the shul. They were bringing a Sefer Torah into the shul. And he spoke about the Gemara and Megillah. The Gemara and Megillah says, again, correct me if I'm wrong, about if you call an Oren, call on the Kodesh, you call it just the Oren. Arena. This guy, I call him. So he says, the Gemara says the women would die. Yeshivas, that women would die if they would. Like we know the Gimel thing, but Yeshivas, the Nida Chala, however the Gemara says Maaseh, right? But one of them is the Yeshivas that they would call an Aron HaKodesh. They would call it Arona.
Why?
Basically, that's just based on.
Based what?
Basically,
Instead of a shul, it's a gathering place.
What they
It's
call
a
it?
bingo hall. Instead of Arna Kodesh, it's a box.
A box.
Then give it to Kedusha.
And what is the Amaratzim would die, and Yeshem Amaratzim would die for the same reason. And Moshe was talking. It's at the bottom over there.
There's an Eris commission.
I think Moshe, does it have any of that drush Moshe?
What's the drush, Moshe? That's the drush.
He's got all the drushes he wrote.
Oh, he drushes?
And he gave Russia.
As in speeches.
The speeches he gave on Shabbos HaGadol, and he gave on.
I didn't know.
And it's beautiful drush, and you see who this man was. Drash Moshe.
He wrote it down and made it into.
And he wrote all his words and his writing. This man was pure.
Yeah.
Any guy who would argue with him about the Erev, I just want you to know, I don't know what you're doing. That man was pure like pure.
You're playing with fire. That's very scary.
No, the guy at the age of 30 spoke about there's nothing in this world. There's nothing in this world except Torah. The whole life. Oh,
Found it.
which way did you get base? Oh, it's a base. I think it's a base. You got to see this man.
I saw Ruben last week I couldn't take my
Thank you so much. Mamish gewaltig,
I
sure.
couldn't take my eyes off him.
Oh my goodness! You wait till you listen to this world of Mashi Dirashti be'alef Shavuos Tafresh Pei 101 years ago.
Wow.
So he quotes the idea of the Kedusha thing. This is Isa Megillah. Mamish, you read this piece. I went through it on thing. If you just read this piece, you see the Kedusha of Moshe. He talks about the idea of a person's life, and a person has to be at the matzav that a person has to live in this world. You got no idea how he discusses. There's a guf and there's a neshama. You've got to make your guf neshamadik, and you can't make your neshama gufdik. And his whole, you've got no idea how he writes. You can't even understand how a guy could speak this. One thing is to believe in this in your personal life, but to speak in public and the way how he lived it is a whole different world. He's quoting all different Maimorei Chazal about the idea is there's nothing in this world except Torah. There's nothing, and he keeps on going through different ways and he says the whole Bria is around Torah, and everything you do, every mitzvah you do. And over here, I'll just read you. Look at this line that he writes over here. If a guy is zereh chitim, this is the words of Moshe. I couldn't believe these words. If a guy plants wheat, kedei shehile matzah, they should have matzah, right? A guy plants wheat. Have a kol malacha she'osim k'makayim mitzvahs achilas matzah b'chales. Everything that's surrounding it that makes it happen is all a hechsher mitzvah. And I'll tell you what he says about a hechsher mitzvah a piece before. But then he said this: v'gam ha'geshomim sheyodu v'godol ha'aretz kulam mekayim mitzvahs achilas matzah. The Geshem is Mekayim, the mitzvah of Achilas Matzah. You hear what's going on? He looked at the world that way. He looked at the world as everything is doing mitzvahs. If you do a mitzvah with something, and this is his whole side over here, that you are creating a world that's your machshir the world by every mitzvah that you do. Mm-hmm. And every mitzvah you do, this gorgeous thing, he made a brach on it, and he talks. Look at these words. The Imam sounds like Chassidus. This like Chassidus. Look at this. V'chein im adam hu tzadik. Look at this. That Imam sounds like a Chassidus. You would never believe Moshe writes these words. U'maisam l'shem shemayim, oz achilosei havik a cob. Then, as he's eating a cob. He's physically eating a cob. A carbon. He writes in last week's Parshas Emor that when a guy gives tzedakah, ani you give tzedakah like leket shicha. Rashi says it's kilu bana beis hamikdash, and Rashi quotes those words. He explains a different way. He says, and why today we don't get the beis hamikdash when we give tzedakah? He says, because the world is not royal lakach. But he says, but on an individual level, you've built the base of Mikdash. Oh, okay. Yeah, this. You are building the base of Mikdash. He writes it, Nitin le'scha ki'ilu bona, lashon of the Moshe on Parshas Emor. Here, in this one, Parshas Emor, he says that you get the schar. Yeah, look at this. You get a schar.
So all these speeches were done before he came to America?
Yeah, no, a lot of them. No, it's not this one. It's in.
I remember I had it before.
No, it is here. It is in Emor. It is in Emor, and he says "Bekutz lachem." So he writes in Lashon. Now here, look at this. Avo bishviloi hoya nivna v'hoya makriven. All of Kabbalas, Lachain, Noisen Lagachbochus Scha, Kiilu Bona, Hamikdash Vikrav Kabbalas. You get the Scha. Don't think that just because, yes, it's true, on individual Lashon, it says, Latzalema, Rak Mishum Shadur, Ena Makaiman, Kroyu, Lenimna. He says true because that's why it's not happening lemaisa. That's why we don't live it. But he was zeicher. And how you agree with him because lachein neisel lakachbachos chakiilu bona make that vikram combines. Don't think that you are doing something. You get that's Pshat and Rashi. That's what's like Pshat and Rashi. Pshat and Rashi which at neisel is chakiilu nivna because even though the generation Taka didn't get it, but you still get it. In other words, you're going to get it, and he lived that way. That was where Ramesh lived. And he writes the words, Kol Abrum Hechshet and he writes over here, that again, a tzaddik, let me say about tzaddik gama, I just read you a piece about tzaddik gama, that when he eats, it's like he's eating a cob. In Cain, look what he writes over here. Having Kol Abruyim Hechshet Tachlis Godel. Mela having Kol Abrum Balei Tachlis. The whole value of everything is for the tachlis of this person who's going to be eating, and it's worth it, the whole bria, for this guy eating. And he quotes a medrash in Shechet Haif, Amar Pinchas HaKohen Ba'achama, B'ma she'hashemayim meridin va'aretz megadeles v'abrias oichlin u'mekalsin l'akashbochu lefichach hashemayim mesaprim kavod keil. And that's how he learns pshat. He's saying that the Shemayim is Mesaprim Kavod Keil by you eating if you're a tzaddik.
I'm sure. Oh,
and the rain is doing mitzvahs. The rain is doing mitzvahs by falling on the ground because it's helping you be machshir.
Who gets that mitzvah? The rain.
You get that mitzvah. It is a hachsha mitzvah for your mitzvah. So you and Moshe. No, the world is created according to Moshe. You got to see this piece. It's mamish. It's a world. It's a world of Ramosha, which mamish shows the depth of who this man was at 30 years old, and you want to argue with him about a thing. If this guy gave a drosh in public, it's like, when you speak in public, you have to know one thing: don't speak about something which you're not. Speak about something you don't. You want to get your devarim hayetzim lev nechlasim lev. You can't get your speak. Ramosha was speaking about himself. And if you speak about this person, he writes over here, you can get everything by the school of HaTorah of just learning Hanizokin. You don't need to do anything else. You can become a biggest Baal Musa. You change your midas. Everything can change. You don't learn anything else. Just learn Hanizokin and just any Gemara. Just choose Hanizokin. So to bring out the point, the message is that just the point about learning Torah is machshir a person, and the school of HaTorah is a moed gazach, and the message that we just want to bring is kol mitzvahs. All the mitzvahs is to make your life in olam hazeh. There's olam haba and there's olam hazeh, and the olam haba is where you get the schar, but the olam hazeh is completed, and you're going to have the most geschmack olam hazeh when you do the mitzvahs properly. That's the message. Okay, that's the point. So I think we should baruch l'kein shabbat l'chvayne. No.
Lano menatoyin nosama anutoyasem Oh wow! See, and you call back. You have a mitzvah. Yeah. Make your